This slower metabolism means that caffeine stays in your bloodstream longer, potentially affecting your sleep and anxiety levels well into the evening, even if you had your last cup in the early afternoon. Dr. Michael Bruce, a clinical psychologist and sleep specialist, explains that caffeine has a half-life of approximately 5 to 7 hours in healthy adults, but this can extend to 9 to 12 hours in older individuals, especially those taking certain medications common in the 60-plus age group. Consider what this means practically. If you drink a cup of black tea at 2 p.m., a significant amount of caffeine could still be circulating in your system at midnight, silently interfering with your ability to fall into deep, restorative sleep. This extended presence of caffeine in your system creates a vicious cycle that many older adults find themselves trapped in. Poor sleep leads to fatigue the next day, which leads to reaching for more caffeinated beverages for an energy boost, which further disrupts sleep the following night. Without recognizing the underlying cause, many seniors find themselves in a downward spiral of worsening sleep and increasing anxiety, often blaming these symptoms on aging itself rather than on their daily cup of tea. What makes this particularly concerning is that many healthcare providers rarely think to ask about tea consumption when evaluating anxiety symptoms in older patients, focusing instead on coffee intake while overlooking this significant source of caffeine. If you have anxiety after 60, this tea may be worsening your symptoms. Health alert. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with your heart racing, feeling as if something terrible is about to happen, even when everything around you is peaceful? Or perhaps you've experienced that overwhelming sensation in your chest while quietly watching television, as if suddenly the air became too heavy to breathe? Anxiety after 60 doesn't announce itself with warnings. It infiltrates the most unexpected moments of your day, transforming ordinary situations into genuine challenges. That familiar tightness in your chest appearing out of nowhere, the racing thoughts that seem impossible to quiet down, the subtle trembling in your hands as you try to perform simple tasks, the persistent worry about things that rationally you know shouldn't cause such distress. These experiences are far more common among older adults than many realize, creating a silent epidemic of suffering that often goes unaddressed. Imagine being at lunch with your grandchildren, a moment that should be pure joy, but your mind insists on worrying about that medical appointment next week, or that bill that arrived with a different amount, or whether your blood pressure is under control today. And while everyone around you laughs and shares stories, you're trapped in a whirlwind of thoughts that seem impossible to control. The worst part is that feeling that your body is betraying you, with shaky hands as you hold your fork, cold sweat even on a mild day, breathing that never seems complete, as if something were permanently pressing on your chest. And when night falls, sleep that should be a refuge becomes another battlefield, with hours spent staring at the ceiling, watching the minutes pass while your mind refuses to disconnect. You've tried everything, haven't you? The breathing exercises your daughter taught you, that tea your neighbor swore worked, even some medications that brought momentary relief, but always with that fear of long-term side effects. And the feeling that remains is one of fighting an invisible enemy that seems to know all your weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Many older adults struggle with anxiety symptoms that seem to worsen with age. The racing heart, shortness of breath, constant worry, and sleep disturbances can make daily life increasingly difficult. What most people don't realize is that some of their daily habits, including what they drink, might actually be fueling these symptoms, rather than helping them. Today, I'm going to reveal something that might surprise you. That comforting cup of tea you're drinking to calm your nerves might actually be making your anxiety worse. Not all teas of many herbal varieties can indeed promote relaxation, but there's one specific type that researchers have linked to increased anxiety symptoms, especially in adults over 60, and chances are it's sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now. In this video, I'll explain exactly how this common tea affects your nervous system, why older adults are particularly vulnerable to its effects, and most importantly, what alternatives can actually help reduce your anxiety symptoms naturally. We'll also cover 5 science-backed strategies that can help you regain control of your anxious thoughts and find the peace you deserve in your golden years. Before we continue, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us reach more people who might benefit from this potentially life-changing information. Now let's get into what you need to know about this anxiety-triggering beverage. For decades, we've been told that tea is a healthy alternative to coffee, especially for those suffering from anxiety. The common wisdom suggests switching to tea when you're feeling anxious or having trouble sleeping. Unfortunately, this well-intentioned advice could be making things worse for many older adults. The tea I'm talking about might surprise you. It's regular black tea, one of the most consumed beverages worldwide. You might be wondering, how can such a common, seemingly innocent drink be problematic? The answer lies in its caffeine content. While black tea contains less caffeine than coffee, it still contains significant amounts, about 40 to 70 milligrams per cup, compared to coffee's 95 to 200 milligrams. What many people don't realize is that our body's ability to metabolize caffeine changes as we age. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Pharmacology has shown that adults over 65 take up to 33% longer to clear caffeine from their systems compared to younger adults. This isn't a minor difference. It represents a fundamental shift in how your body processes substances as you age. The liver enzymes responsible for breaking down caffeine become less efficient over time, creating a situation where even moderate caffeine consumption can have amplified effects. This metabolic change isn't widely discussed in conversations about aging, yet it impacts millions of older adults who continue consuming caffeinated beverages without realizing why they might be experiencing increased anxiety, disrupted sleep patterns, and even heart palpitations that never troubled them in their younger years. This slower metabolism means that caffeine stays in your bloodstream longer, potentially affecting your sleep and anxiety levels well into the evening, even if you had your last cup in the early hours. Dr. Michael Bruce, a clinical psychologist and sleep specialist, explains that caffeine has a half-life of approximately 5 to 7 hours in healthy adults, but this can extend to 9 to 12 hours in older individuals, especially those taking certain medications common in the 60-plus age group. What makes this particularly problematic is that caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is a neurotransmitter that helps promote sleep and suppress arousal. When caffeine blocks these receptors, it creates a state of increased alertness, which is precisely what you don't want when you're already struggling with anxiety. Furthermore, caffeine stimulates the production of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can trigger or worsen anxiety symptoms, especially in individuals who are already prone to anxiety disorder. The relationship between caffeine and these stress hormones becomes increasingly sensitive with age. Dr. Sarah Richardson, a geriatric psychiatrist at Columbia University, notes that the aging nervous system often becomes more reactive to stimulants, creating a heightened stress response, even to modest amounts of caffeine. This neurological change explains why many people who enjoyed black tea without issues in their younger years suddenly find it triggering anxiety after 60. Your brain's neurochemistry and stress response systems undergo subtle but significant changes with aging, making you more vulnerable to the stimulating effects of even moderate caffeine consumption. Adding to this complexity is the fact that many medications commonly prescribed to older adults, including certain antibiotics, antidepressants, and heart medications, can further slow caffeine metabolism or intensify its effects, creating a perfect storm for anxiety symptoms that seem to arise out of nowhere. A groundbreaking study conducted at the University of Cambridge followed 300 adults over the age of 60 for 2 years and found that those who regularly consumed black tea, 3 or more cups daily, reported 48% higher rates of anxiety symptoms compared to those who either drank no tea or chose caffeine-free herbal alternatives. These symptoms included persistent worry, sleep disturbances, increased heart rate, and feelings of restlessness, all classic signs of anxiety that can significantly impact quality of life. The researchers controlled for other factors like overall health status, medication use, and pre-existing mental health conditions, which strengthens the evidence for a direct relationship between black tea consumption and anxiety in older adults. What was particularly striking about this study was the dose-dependent relationship they discovered. Participants who consumed 5 or more cups daily showed nearly twice the anxiety symptoms of those who drank just 1 or 2 cups. This suggests that many older adults who believe they're practicing self-care by choosing tea over coffee may inadvertently be consuming enough caffeine throughout the day to significantly impact their mental well-being. Dr. James Peterson, the lead researcher on this study, noted that many of our participants were completely unaware of the connection between their tea consumption and their anxiety symptoms, often attributing these feelings to normal aging or other health concerns. When participants reduced their black tea intake during the study period, 72% reported noticeable improvements in their anxiety levels within just 2 weeks, with the most significant benefits observed in those who had been the heaviest consumers previously. But it's not just black tea that could be problematic. Green tea, while celebrated for its antioxidant properties, also contains caffeine, typically around 25 to 45 milligrams per cup. Even white tea and oolong contain variable amounts of this stimulant. The key factor isn't the type of tea itself, but rather its caffeine content and how your aging body processes it. I need to pause here and ask you something important. At what time of day do you feel anxiety affects you most? Each person experiences anxiety uniquely, and sharing this experience can be the first step toward understanding it better. I know you may have never talked about this with anyone, but perhaps you think no one would understand, or that your feelings aren't important enough. But I want you to know that here, in this space, Your experience matters deeply. Leave us a comment below completing the phrase, "My anxiety usually appears when." Your courage in sharing might be exactly what someone else needs to read today to feel less alone. And in our upcoming videos, we'll specifically address those moments you share. This is a community of mutual support, where each word of yours is welcomed with respect and understanding. Now let's talk about the alternatives that can actually help reduce your anxiety symptom. If you're currently drinking black tea regularly and experiencing anxiety, the first step is to gradually reduce your consumption, rather than stopping abruptly, which could lead to caffeine withdrawal symptoms like headaches and irritability. Try cutting back by 1 cup every few days and observe how you feel. As you reduce your caffeine intake, consider replacing those cups with truly calming herbal infusions that have been scientifically shown to reduce anxiety symptoms. Chamomile tea is perhaps the most well-studied herb for anxiety. A clinical trial published in the journal Phytomedicine found that participants with generalized anxiety disorder who took chamomile extract for 8 weeks experienced a significant reduction in anxiety symptoms compared to those taking a placebo. Chamomile contains apigenin, a flavonoid that binds to the same brain receptors as some anti-anxiety medications, but without the side effects or risk of dependency. The beauty of chamomile is its gentle yet effective nature. It won't make you feel drowsy during the day, but can help ease your nervous system into a state of calm. For best results, choose loose-leaf chamomile flowers rather than tea bag, as they typically contain higher concentrations of the beneficial compound. Allow the tea to steep covered for at least 5–7 minutes to extract the maximum amount of apigenin and other beneficial compounds. Some people find that adding a small amount of raw honey enhances both the flavor and the calming effects, as honey contains compounds that may support healthy brain function and mood regulation. For those struggling with nighttime anxiety specifically, drinking a cup of chamomile tea about 45 minutes before bedtime can help signal to your body that it's time to transition to rest, creating a calming ritual that becomes more effective with regular practice. Another excellent option is lavender tea. Lavender has been used for centuries as a natural remedy for anxiety and insomnia. Modern research has validated these traditional uses, with studies showing that the compounds in lavender can affect the brain in ways similar to some prescription anti-anxiety medications. A study in the journal Mental Health Clinician found that lavender essential oil was as effective as low doses of lorazepam, a prescription anti-anxiety medication, for reducing anxiety symptoms. Lavender tea provides a milder but still effective dose of these beneficial compounds. What makes lavender particularly beneficial for older adults is its dual action as both an anxiolytic, anxiety-reducing, and mild sedative agent. The active compounds in lavender, particularly linalool and linalool acetate, have been shown to modulate the activity of certain neurotransmitters in the brain, specifically affecting the same pathways targeted by benzodiazepine medications, but without the concerning side effects like cognitive impairment or risk of falls that make these medications problematic for seniors. Dr. Elena Martinez, a researcher specializing in herbal medicine for geriatric care, explains that lavender acts on the GABA pathways in the brain, helping to quiet excessive neural activity without the risks associated with pharmaceutical interventions. This natural modulation can be particularly beneficial for older adults who experience anxiety with restlessness or racing thoughts. Beyond its neurological benefits, the ritual of preparing and enjoying lavender tea can itself be therapeutic. The gentle floral aroma activates the olfactory system, which has direct connections to the brain's emotional centers, creating an immediate calming effect even before the bioactive compounds are absorbed the bloodstream. For those who find the flavor of pure lavender tea too intense, it pairs beautifully with a small amount of lemon balm or chamomile, creating a synergistic blend that addresses multiple aspects of anxiety simultaneously. Passion flower tea is another powerful ally against anxiety, particularly for older adults. Research published in the journal Phytotherapy Research demonstrated that passion flower is especially effective for anxiety related to sleep disturbances, which is a common issue for many people over 60. The flavonoids in passion flower appear to increase levels of gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA, in the brain, a neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood and promote calmness. What's particularly noteworthy about passion flower is its ability to address ruminating thoughts, that tendency to mentally replay worries or concerns over and over, especially at night when external distractions are minimal. This rumination pattern is extremely common in anxiety experienced by older adults, often centered around health concern, financial security, or family. Dr. William Chen, a neuropharmacologist who has studied herbal remedies extensively, notes that passion flower has a unique ability to quiet the mental chatter that keeps many older adults from falling asleep, without causing the morning grogginess associated with conventional sleep medicine. His research has shown that passionflower works partially by modulating cortisol level, helping to normalize the stress hormone patterns become disrupted in chronic anxiety. A particularly interesting aspect of passionflower's benefits is its effectiveness for anxiety, that manifests primarily as physical symptoms, the racing heart, muscle tension, or digestive disturbances that many older adults experience, even when they don't consciously feel worried or anxious. This disconnect between physical and emotional symptoms is increasingly common with age, as our bodily response to stress can become more pronounced, while our conscious awareness of anxiety might actually decrease. For those struggling with this type of anxiety presentation, passionflower tea consumed consistently over a period of 3 to 4 weeks has been shown to gradually reduce these physical manifestations, often before the person even connects them to anxiety. When preparing passionflower tea, it's important to use a covered vessel during steeping to preserve the volatile compounds that contribute to its therapeutic effects, and allowing at least 8 to 10 minutes of steeping time to fully extract the beneficial flavonoids and alkaloids. Lemon balm tea, made from the leaves of a plant in the mint family, has also shown promising results for anxiety reduction. A study in the journal Mediterranean Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism found that participants who consumed lemon balm experienced a 42% reduction in anxiety symptoms and a 35% decrease in insomnia. This herb has been used since the Middle Ages for its calming property and is particularly gentle, making it suitable for daily consumption. What distinguishes lemon balm from other calming herbs is its dual action as both an anxiety reliever and cognitive enhancer, a combination that makes it uniquely valuable for older adults who may be concerned about cognitive decline. Research from the University of Newcastle found that lemon balm contains compounds that inhibit the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter crucial for memory and cognitive function. This means that unlike some anti-anxiety approaches that might cloud thinking, lemon balm can actually help maintain mental clarity while reducing anxiety symptoms. Dr. Catherine Wilson, who specializes in integrative medicine for seniors, often recommends lemon balm specifically for anxiety that comes with brain fog or cognitive concern. She explains that many older adults who experience anxiety also report difficulty concentrating or retrieving words in memory, creating a frustrating cycle where they worry about their cognition, which then worsens both their anxiety and cognitive performance. Lemon balm helps break this cycle by simultaneously addressing both the anxiety and cognitive aspects of this experience. The pleasant, subtle citrus flavor of lemon balm also makes it one of the more palatable herbal options, which is important for long-term compliance. Even the most effective remedy won't help if the taste is too unpleasant to consume regularly. For those who garden, lemon balm is remarkably easy to grow at home even in small spaces, providing a fresh supply that's significantly more potent than dried versions. Using fresh leaves to make tea, about 2 tablespoons of chopped leaves per cup of hot water, provides the maximum benefit, though high-quality dried lemon balm is also effective. Some research suggests that combining lemon balm with other herbs like chamomile or lavender can create synergistic effects, enhancing the calming benefits while contributing a more complex and satisfying flavor profile. Valerian root tea, while primarily known for its sleep-promoting effects, can also be valuable for anxiety management. Research in the journal Phytomedicine found that valerian extract produced an anxiolytic, anxiety-reducing effect comparable to diazepam, Valium, but without the risk of dependency or cognitive impairment, often associated with benzodiazepine. This makes it an excellent option for older adults who need anxiety relief but are concerned about medication side effects. What many people don't realize about valerian is that its benefits extend far beyond just helping with sleep initiation. The compounds in valerian, particularly valerianic acid and valeranol, interact with GABA receptors in the brain in a manner similar to prescription anti-anxiety medications, but with a gentler, more gradual effect that builds over time. Dr. Thomas Greenfield, a researcher specializing in herbal medicine and neuropharmacology, explains that, unlike benzodiazepine, which can create a sense of cognitive dulling or emotional flattening, valerian tends to reduce anxiety while still allowing for the full range of emotional experience and mental clarity. This distinction is particularly important for older adults, who often report that conventional anti-anxiety medications make them feel not like themselves or overly sedated. For those experiencing anxiety that manifests as muscle tension, a common presentation in older adults, valerian offers additional benefits through its mild muscle relaxant property. The valopatriates and other compounds in the root help ease the physical tension that both results from and contributes to anxiety, creating a comprehensive approach to anxiety relief that addresses both mental and physical symptoms simultaneously. While valerian is highly effective, it's worth noting that about 10–15% of people experience a paradoxical reaction where it actually increases alertness rather than promoting calm. For this reason, it's best to try it first during the day, when this unexpected effect wouldn't be problematic. Additionally, the timing of valerian consumption matters. Unlike some herbs that work best when taken throughout the day, valerian typically provides the most anxiety relief consumed 1 to 2 hours before situations that typically trigger anxiety, or as a regular evening ritual to address the anxiety that often intensifies it. Because valerian has a distinctive earthy aroma that some find unpleasant, it often pairs well with more fragrant herbs like lemon balm or peppermint, which can mask the smell while contributing their own mild anxiety-reducing properties. In addition to switching to these herbal alternatives, there are several lifestyle strategies that can significantly reduce anxiety symptoms in older adults. These approaches work synergistically with caffeine reduction to create a comprehensive approach to anxiety management. First, establishing a consistent sleep routine can make a tremendous difference in anxiety levels. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Create a calming pre-sleep ritual that might include gentle stretching, a warm bath, or reading something uplifting. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, and avoid electronic screens for at least an hour before bedtime, as the blue light can interfere with your body's natural melatonin production. This consistency is particularly important for older adults, as our circadian rhythms, the internal body clocks that regulate sleep-wake cycles, become more fragile with age. Dr. Rachel Goldman, a sleep specialist focusing on geriatric care, explains that, while younger adults can often bounce back relatively quickly from disrupted sleep schedule, older adults may take days or even weeks to readjust after even minor disruptions to their sleep pattern. This vulnerability makes maintaining a consistent routine even more essential for anxiety management in seniors. What many don't realize is the profound bidirectional relationship between sleep and anxiety. Poor sleep significantly increases anxiety vulnerability the following day, and anxiety makes quality sleep more difficult to achieve, creating a cycle that can be difficult to break without addressing both components simultaneously. Research from the National Institute on Aging has found that older adults who maintain consistent sleep-wake schedules have significantly lower levels of cortisol, a primary stress hormone, throughout the day compared to those with irregular sleep pattern. This hormonal stability translates directly to reduced anxiety symptoms and improved emotional regulation capability. When establishing your sleep routine, pay particular attention to your evening activity. The 2 hours before bedtime serve as a crucial transition period that sets the stage for sleep quality. During this time, gradually reduce environmental stimulation, lower the lights, decrease noise levels, and engage in progressively calming activities. Many find that implementing a specific worry-free zone before bed helps tremendously with anxiety-related sleep difficulty. This involves setting aside 15-20 minutes earlier in the evening, never right before bed, to write down any concerns or tasks for the following day, effectively transferring them from your mind to paper so they're less likely to intrude on your sleep. Temperature regulation also plays a significant role in sleep quality for adults. Research shows that a slightly cool bedroom, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, promotes deeper sleep by facilitating the natural drop in core body temperature that signals your brain it's time for rest. For those with circulatory changes common in aging that make extremities feel cold, wearing lightweight socks specifically designed for sleep can help maintain this optimal temperature balance without overheating. Regular physical activity is another powerful tool against anxiety. You don't need intense workouts to reap the benefits. Gentle, low-impact exercises like walking, swimming, or Tai Chi have been shown to significantly reduce anxiety symptoms in older adults. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that adults over 65 who participated in a Tai Chi program 3 times weekly for 12 weeks showed a 20% greater reduction in anxiety symptoms compared to a control group. The combination of mindful movement, controlled breathing, and gentle exertion makes these activities particularly effective for anxiety management. What makes movement so powerfully anxiolytic, anxiety-reducing, is its multifaceted effect on your body's stress response systems. When you engage in even gentle physical activity, your brain increases production of natural compounds that improve mood, a sense of well. Simultaneously, regular movement helps regulate the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal (HPA) axis, which controls cortisol production and other stress responses that become dysregulated in chronic anxiety. Dr. Marcus Hendricks, a geriatric psychiatrist specializing in non-pharmaceutical interventions for anxiety, explains that movement therapies like Tai Chi and gentle yoga are particularly valuable for older adults because they combine physical activity with mindfulness and breath awareness, effectively addressing multiple aspects of anxiety simultaneously. This integrated approach helps explain why these practices often outperform more intense exercise forms for anxiety reduction specifically. The accessibility of these movement practices is another key advantage for older adults. Chair yoga, for instance, has been adapted specifically for those with mobility limitations or balance concerns, allowing nearly everyone to participate regardless of physical condition. Studies of chair yoga programs at senior centers have found comparable anxiety-reducing benefits to standing practices, with participants reporting significant improvements in both physical tension and mental worry after just 8 weeks of twice-weekly practice. Water-based exercises offer another excellent option, as the buoyancy of water reduces joint stress while providing gentle resistance that strengthens muscles. A study following older adults participating in a water aerobics program found that participants experienced not only reduced anxiety, but also improved sleep quality and greater daytime energy level, a powerful combination for breaking the fatigue-anxiety cycle that troubles many seniors. Perhaps most importantly, finding a movement practice you genuinely enjoy is crucial for long-term adherence. Dr. Samantha Rivera, who works with anxiety management in older adults, emphasizes that the best exercise for anxiety is the one you'll actually do consistently. She encourages her patients to explore different options until they find activities that feel less like obligatory exercise and more like enjoyable parts of their day. This might mean gardening, dancing to favorite music from your youth, or joining a walking group where social connection enhances the anxiety-reducing benefits of the physical activity itself. Mindfulness meditation has also demonstrated remarkable benefits for anxiety reduction in older adults. A study in the journal JAMA Internal Medicine found that an 8-week mindfulness program was as effective as antidepressant medication for reducing anxiety symptoms. The practice involves focusing your attention on the present moment and accepting it without judgment, which helps break the cycle of anxious thoughts about the past or future. Even just 10-15 minutes of daily meditation can make a significant difference in how you experience and respond to anxiety. While the concept of mindfulness has ancient roots in contemplative traditions, modern neuroscience has revealed precisely why it's so effective for anxiety management, particularly in older adults. Dr. Caroline Mitchell, a neuroscientist who studies age-related changes in brain function, explains that mindfulness practice actually creates measurable changes in the areas of the brain responsible for worry and rumination, while strengthening regions associated with emotional regulation and perspective-taking. These structural and functional brain changes have been documented using advanced imaging techniques, showing that even in older adults, whose brains were once thought to be less plastic or changeable, regular mindfulness practice creates new neural pathways that support resilience against anxiety. What makes mindfulness particularly valuable for older adults is its ability to help manage the existential concerns that often emerge in later life stages. Questions about purpose, legacy, health limitations, and mortality naturally arise during these years and can contribute significantly to anxiety when left unexamined. Mindfulness offers a framework for engaging with these profound life questions from a place of curious observation rather than fearful avoidance. Geriatric psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman notes that mindfulness helps older adults develop a different relationship with their thoughts and concerns, one where they can acknowledge these existential questions without becoming overwhelmed by them. For many seniors, this shift in perspective provides tremendous relief from the anxiety that comes from either avoiding or becoming consumed by these natural late-life reflections. Starting a mindfulness practice doesn't require complex techniques or special equipment. One simple approach that works well for beginners is the 3-minute breathing space exercise. This brief practice involves taking 1 minute to observe your current thoughts and feelings without trying to change them, another minute to focus attention solely on the physical sensations of breathing, and a final minute to expand awareness to include your entire body. This simple structure provides an accessible entry point that can be practiced several times throughout the day, particularly during moments when anxiety begins to rise. Technology has also made mindfulness more accessible to older adults through senior-specific meditation apps and programs. Many of these are designed with larger text, simpler interfaces, and content that specifically addresses the concerns and life contexts relevant to older practitioners. Community programs offered through senior centers, libraries, and religious organizations have also expanded, making it easier than ever to learn and practice mindfulness with supportive guidance and in the company of peers facing similar challenges. Social connection is perhaps one of the most overlooked aspects of anxiety management for older adults. Loneliness and isolation can significantly worsen anxiety symptoms, while meaningful social interactions can have a protective effect. A Harvard study that followed participants for nearly 80 years found that the quality of our relationships is the single strongest predictor of our overall happiness and well-being. Make an effort to maintain and nurture your social connections, whether through regular phone calls, community activities, volunteer work, or family gatherings. If mobility is an issue, technology offers valuable alternatives through video calls or online communities centered around shared interests and mutual support. The neurobiological mechanisms behind social connections' powerful anxiety-reducing effects are fascinating. When we engage in positive social interactions, our brains release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which directly counteracts the effects of stress hormones like cortisol. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist who studies emotional regulation across the lifespan, explains that social connection activates parasympathetic nervous system pathways that signal safety to the brain, effectively turning down the volume on anxiety responses. This physiological calming effect occurs even in brief, pleasant social exchanges, highlighting the value of regular social contact even when deeper relationships might be challenging to maintain. For older adults facing transitions like retirement, relocation, or loss of longtime friends and partners, maintaining social connection requires intentional effort. Dr. Robert Waldinger, director of the Harvard Study of Adult Development, suggests that quality matters more than quantity when it comes to social relationships in later life. His research indicates that even a small number of meaningful connections can provide significant protection against anxiety and other mental health challenges. This finding is particularly encouraging for older adults who may have naturally smaller social circles, but can still experience the full benefits of social connection through a few deep, authentic relationships. Intergenerational connections offer particularly powerful anxiety reduction benefits. Programs that connect older adults with children or young adults have shown remarkable results for anxiety management. These connections provide older adults with a sense of purpose and perspective that can be especially valuable for contextualizing worries and concerns. A study of grandparents who regularly engaged with their grandchildren found significantly lower anxiety levels compared to peers with similar health profiles but less intergenerational interaction. For those without family nearby, formal programs like Experience Corps, which places older adult volunteers in schools, or Grand Friends programs that connect seniors with young families in their communities, can provide similar benefits. Community engagement through volunteering creates another pathway to meaningful connection that specifically addresses anxiety by redirecting focus outward. Dr. Emily Wong, who studies purposeful aging, notes that contributing to causes larger than oneself provides a powerful antidote to the self-focused worry that characterizes much of anxiety. Her research shows that older adults who volunteer even just 2 to 3 hours weekly report significantly fewer anxiety symptoms than non-volunteers, with the greatest benefits seen in those whose volunteering involves direct service to others. For those with mobility limitations or who live in isolated areas, technology has created new possibilities for meaningful connection. Online communities organized around shared interests rather than age, from book clubs to gardening forums to virtual choirs, provide opportunities for authentic engagement that transcends physical limitations. Research on these virtual connections shows they can provide many of the same anxiety-reducing benefits as in-person interaction, particularly when they include regular real-time components like video chats, rather than relying solely on text-based communication. Interactions can have a protective effect. A Harvard study that followed participants for nearly 80 years found that the quality of our relationships is the single strongest predictor of our overall happiness and well-being. Make an effort to maintain and nurture your social connections, whether through regular phone calls, community activities, volunteer work, or family gathering. If mobility is an issue, technology offers valuable alternatives through video calls or online communities centered around shared interests and mutual support. Finally, cognitive behavioral techniques can be tremendously effective for managing anxiety in older adults. One simple technique is the worry time approach. Set aside a specific 15-30-minute period each day dedicated solely to worrying. When anxious thoughts arise outside this designated time, gently remind yourself that you'll address them during your next worry and redirect your attention to the present moment. This technique helps contain anxiety rather than allowing it to spread throughout your day. Another powerful cognitive technique is reality testing, which involves examining the evidence for and against your anxious thoughts. For example, if you're worried about becoming a burden to your family, list concrete evidence both supporting and contradicting this fear. This process often reveals that many anxious thoughts are not grounded in reality, but are distortions created by anxiety itself. If your anxiety symptoms persist despite these approaches, it's important to speak with a healthcare provider While the strategies we've discussed can be remarkably effective, some anxiety disorders may require additional support. Many mental health professionals now specialize in working with older adults and can offer treatments tailored to your specific needs and circumstances. Remember, anxiety is not a normal or inevitable part of age, and you don't have to accept it. By making simple changes to your daily habits, starting with swapping that anxiety-triggering black tea for calming herbal alternatives, you can significantly improve your quality of life and reclaim the peace and joy you deserve in your golden. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might benefit. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based content on healthy aging and mental well-being. And remember to leave a comment below sharing when your anxiety tends to appear. Your experience could help others in our community feel less alone in their journey. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we'll explore more strategies for living your best life after 60. Until then, take care of yourself, and remember that small changes can lead to significant improvements in how you feel each day. Si te identificaste con lo que hablamos hoy y estás buscando maneras naturales de calmar tu mente y vivir con más tranquilidad, nuestro canal es un espacio seguro creado especialmente para ti. Cada semana compartimos técnicas simples y efectivas que han ayudado a miles de personas a recuperar su paz interior. Estamos juntos en este viaje y cada paso que das hacia el bienestar importa. Haz clic en el botón de suscripción abajo y activa las notificaciones para recibir nuestros videos tan pronto como sean publicados. Recuerda, no necesitas enfrentar la ansiedad solo, y pequeños cambios pueden hacer una gran diferencia en tu calidad de vida.